What's good, YouTube? Jim back again with another video. I was right about moving, right? We've entered in a new year. We're in 2025 now, right? I expect life to be even harder. I expect life to get harder and harder and harder, right? Because this is what life has shown us, right? Dating is getting harder. Look at the economy. Like, everything gets harder and harder. Now, this is not me saying you should give up. This is not me complaining about the economy, complaining about dating, complaining about women. I don't do that, right? I accept the reality and I move accordingly, right? And so when I say I'm right about moving, this is what I mean. But first, let me say this. I talk about moving all the time. I tell you guys that you should be moving. You should leave your hometown, leave that small hometown. The number one reason why, truly, the number one reason why I think this is a good idea is because this grows you up. I think the problem in life is people keep telling you you're young. People keep telling you you have time. And now I think this is intended for good, but I think it does more harm than anything. Because the problem is, you start believing, okay, I do have time. I am young. And so you stick to your childish ways. Right? And I think this is the problem. I think you should think like a man as soon as possible, right? I think by age 16, you should start thinking like a man. You start moving accordingly. I think your parents should start treating you like a man, right? And so here's the thing. I talk about leaving. I talk about moving. But I don't think you should leave if it's going to put you in a worse position financially. I don't think you should leave if you're going to be out here struggling. I don't think you should leave if you're not prepared, if you're not ready. I don't think you should be out here living like, or keeping up with the Joneses, right? I don't think that's a way to live. I don't think you should act like you have something that you don't. Plenty of people do it. Plenty of people I see do it, right? But I don't know them. And I just assume that a lot of people move this way. Because this is how you're supposed to move. You're supposed to have this. You're supposed to look successful. You're supposed to perceive yourself in a successful way, right? This is what you see on social media, right? Now, I think this does more harm than anything. Sure, it looks cool, but it's like, yeah, do you want to look cool to people you don't even know? I was talking to one of my friends about this the other day. I'm just like, bro, he was telling me how he still lives at home. And I'm just like, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have rushed to leave. I would put myself in a better position before I left, right? However, but me saying this is, I don't think I would be who I am if I didn't leave. I don't think I could have grown the way that I did if I didn't leave, because I still thought like a child. I think the problem is when a lot of people stay with their parents, they have like this safety net where it's like, okay, if I don't have it, if I'm not in a position where I should be, it's fine. My parents will take care of it. And this puts you in a childish mindset. Right? I think you would be in a better mindset if you left and then ended up having to come back. Right? I think you would think a little bit better if this was the case. You know what I'm saying? Because then you have a completely different mentality. You're not really childish. You understand how hard life actually is. You understand the realities of life versus if you never left and your parents are supporting you, your parents are taking care of you. You don't understand how hard life can actually be. You don't understand, you're not that responsible is what I'm going to say, right? So if you want to gain this responsibility, if you want to grow up, leaving home will do this, right? Leaving home grows you up. Like I said, a lot of people talk to you like a child. People, you have time. Okay, so what? You have time. And then until you don't. And then when you don't, when you're too old, they're still going to say you have time. They're still going to say you should slow down. They're still going to say all of these things that hold you back. And I promise you, like, they mean good, but like I said, it does more harm than good. Now, let me talk about the benefits of leaving, right? Number one, it does grow you up. You start to have your own identity. I grew up in a small town where everybody thought the same way. Everybody moved the same way. It was normal to think a certain way. The moment I moved to Boston is the moment I started thinking a little bit differently. The moment I was like, wait a minute. I've always felt like the black sheep of my family. I always felt like the black sheep of the town. But, turns out that I wasn't, because every time I go back and I have conversations with certain people, they also think similar to me, right? But it wasn't until I moved to Boston is when I realized that people thought like I did. People thought better than me. People thought, like I was just exposed to different things, different cultures, different things. But I didn't take advantage of it while I was there, right? I went back home. And then I ended up moving to Houston, where I am now. And everything just took off. Everything took off, you know. It's like you're preparing yourself. You know, it's like it's like all these little things that you're doing, they might look like setbacks. You might think you're going backwards, but in reality, you're preparing yourself for the future. This is really what's happening, right? You might look at these things as setbacks, but they're not. And I understand this. When I have something that doesn't go my way, I don't look at it as a setback. I look at it as I'm preparing myself for something greater, right? It might look like you failed. On paper, you failed. But in reality, you're preparing yourself for something greater. Right now, you're prepared. Now you have this wisdom. And so when the next time this certain situation comes up, you know what to do, right? And this is what it means to be successful. You fail so many times, you just know what to do, right? This is what knowledge is, right? You just understand based off of the data that you gained through your life and the data you gained through other people's life, right? If I never went through certain things, I would have never moved here. If I never would have went through certain things, I never would have worked with my dream company. If I never experienced certain things, I never would have changed my physique. I never would have become the person who I needed to become, right? And I'm still not there. But every single day I get closer and closer and closer, right? My mind starts expanding. The things that I thought were correct, maybe they're not correct anymore. The way that I used to move, maybe I don't want to move this way anymore. Why? Because of understanding and I have this understanding from experience, right? Not just my experience, but their experience, my parents' experience, my friends' experience, the people who I don't know, people who I watch, their experience, and seeing how they move and see how certain things they didn't work. Why am I going to make the same mistake that this guy made? Why am I going to make the same mistake that my parents made? Why am I going to make the same mistakes when I don't have to? But the one thing that I can say is I was correct about moving. What moving did to me was change me completely. I became a better version of myself in every possible way. I'm going to continue to improve my life. I'm going to continue to get bigger. I'm going to continue to improve in Chinese. I'm going to continue to improve financially. I'm going to continue, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on the path. Like, I understand what my path looks like. I'm going to continue to train. I'm going to continue to improve with my clients, right? And learn certain things to get you guys results a lot faster. This is what life's about, right? It's about expanding your knowledge, expanding myself. Right? This is what life's about. Life's about expansion. If you want to expand your life, you need to be around people who are expanding their life, people who are already in positions that you want to be. And you know what the funny thing is? What I realized from being here for the 4 years now is no matter how much I improve, no matter how much I accomplish, I would never be satisfied. And this is a beautiful thing, is because, you know, understanding this, I don't have to put so much pressure on me, because I understand once I achieve this thing, I'm still not going to be satisfied. I'm still going to want more. I remember when I first started working out, I said, man, if I was just 140, I would be, you know, this is me coming from under 100 pounds. I was like, if I was 140, I might have said 120, right? If I was just 120, I would be happy. You know, have my abs, have a little bit of muscle, I would be happy. Then I got 120. If I was just 150, I would be happy, right? I would feel a lot better about myself. You know, I got 150. If I was just 160, if I was 170, you know what I'm saying? The cycle goes over and over and over. And now I'm talking about if I hit 200, right? Which I'm almost there. I'll do it in like, what, a month or so, month or two. But what I understand is I would never be satisfied. And I think this is a great thing, because I'm always going to be expanding. I'm always going to want more. I'm always going to expand. Like I said, if life's about expansion, I'm always going to be expanding. But understanding that I would never be satisfied doesn't put too much pressure on me, right? It doesn't allow me to look at people and being like, I want what they have. Because me understanding this is, when I say I want what he has, once I get there, I'm gonna be like, oh, I want what that guy has. I want to look like this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a constant cycle of this over and over and over. Right, man? I'm just saying, like, I learned so much since being here, being on my own, especially this year. This year, 2024, or last year, 2024 was the first year I was single the entire year. Single for an entire year. And I haven't been single for a year since freshman year of college. Right? That was the last time, because I realized I was constantly in a cycle of relationships, constantly in a cycle, constant cycle. And then I realized, you know, after I got out of my last relationship, I was like, do I have a problem with being by myself? right? And I'm not saying I didn't date, right? I dated plenty, but I knew I wasn't going to be in a relationship. I knew I didn't want to be in anything because I wanted to learn more about myself. I wanted to learn what I liked in a woman. I wanted to truly understand what I looked for, right? And in doing so, I've improved my life. Why? Because I put more focus onto my goals. Instead of pouring a lot of energy into women, I was pouring all of my energy into my goals. Like on the weekends, I use this time wisely. On the weekends, I use time to improve my craft, to work with clients, right? I started coaching, right? I've never done this. This is something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to do, right? And so why did it take me so long? It's because I was always distracted. Now, I'm not saying relationships are bad. I'm not saying that they can distract you, but I'm not saying all of them do. I'm saying for me, at least, I let certain things distract me, right? When I could have been putting energy into my goals, I was putting energy into the relationship on the weekends, right? Knowing that I had to work Monday through Friday, and I only had a short window to work on my things, to work on what I had going on. And yeah, I did work on what I had going on, but I realized with me being single, I had more time, more energy to just strictly focus on what I needed to do. And like I said, I'm not saying I didn't date. When I dated, it was when I wanted to go on a date, right? So I might not have gone on a date for 2 weeks, right? Because I didn't want to, because I wanted to work on what I had going on the weekend. But maybe that third week I would go on a date. And this is how I moved for this entire year, right? Like I said, I've accomplished a lot more than I did in the past 2 years, right? Started working with Alphalete. I started, improving in Chinese, right? This year, man, I'm saying like my goals and just things that I've accomplished, bro. It's crazy. All this happened from moving, literally from moving, right? The way that I thought when I was in my small town versus how I think now is completely different. I'm a completely different person. I remember I was even having a conversation with my mom. She was saying, I was talking about certain things that she would tell me is important. I didn't think they were important at the time because I had no real life experience, right? But once I moved, this is when I started having that experience. This is why I started thinking a little bit different. Why? Because I started looking at myself as an adult. Everybody started treating me like an adult. And I'm saying, like, the faster you grow up, the faster you can improve your life. And that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. The things I want for myself are the same things I want for you guys.